Coming up on WEBN's special Road to Hopkinton, Marathon Monday brought home some new champions in the 121st edition. We'll tell you who came in first place. Security at the marathon is a top priority for police. There's a new measurement in the skies coming to help those in charge of protection. We'll tell you the story of Ann Tucci, who battled back from the trauma of the 2013 bombings to run again in 2017. Her story and more as we take you on the road to Hopkinton. Hello everyone and welcome to the WEBN special Road to Hopkinton. I'm Shayna Ferreira. In this special feature, we'll bring you behind the scenes coverage of the 2017 Boston Marathon. The day has come and gone in 2017 and the winners for both the men's and women's categories are official. Joseph Sack is live at the finish line that runners crossed to tell us about the ones who made it there first. Joseph?
This year's Boston Marathon was filled with triumphs, the retirement of a bid number, and record-setting runs. The wheelchair division was the first to head out along the marathon route Monday. Marcel Hug of Switzerland finished the course 1 second before Ernst van Dijk of South Africa. Hug set a new course record for the wheelchair division. Hug finished the marathon in 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 3 seconds, breaking the previous record, which stood at 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 25 seconds. Next up, we had the women's division starting their race. Edna Kiplagat, a police officer from Kenya, won the women's division race after a 2 hour, 21 minute, 52 second run. Kiplagat has also won marathons in London, New York, and Los Angeles. She was followed by Rose Kalimo of Bahrain 59 seconds later. Finally, the men's division race ended with another victory for Kenya, as Jeffrey Kirui won with a time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 37 seconds. Kirui was followed 21 seconds later by Galen Rupp, a 3-time Olympian from Oregon. This marathon marks the 50th anniversary of Catherine Switzer's first marathon run back in 1967. The Boston Athletic Association has officially retired her bib number, 261. Reporting live from the finish line on Boylston Street, I'm Joseph Sack for WEBN. Back to you in the studio.
Joseph, thank you. The 2013 Boston Marathon bombings was a wake-up call for Boston police. This year, the security to the team of officers has grown larger with the help of drones. Camera-equipped drones are the newest addition to the marathon. The machines allow police to scan large crowds with long-distance and infrared zoom. They are attached to a thin wire that allows them to stay in the air for days at a time. The purpose of the drones is to anticipate and prevent lower technology terrorist attacks. One of the Boston Marathon's official sponsors has landed in trouble. Adidas sent out what some consider to be an insensitive email to everyone on its mailing list. The email read, quote, "Congratulations, you survived the Boston Marathon." The email did not take long to receive backlash from the public over social media. The company sent out an apology statement saying it was incredibly sorry and that the Boston Marathon is, quote, "one of the most inspirational sporting events in the world." The beauty of the Boston Marathon is that not only does it focus on the winners, those in the crowd, and those who finished hours after the qualified runners are just as notable. Angelina Salcido was there on Boylston Street to take in the sights and sounds of Patriots Day.
It's Marathon Monday, and people were more than excited for the 26.2 miles.
It was very good, very good. A bit too hot for us. I was maybe comparing the weather forecast of last week. It was supposed a colder temperature, but at the end it was.
While the heat took a toll on many of the runners, they could all agree on one thing. It was the crowd that kept them going.
Fantastic, second to none. Do marathons in Chicago and other places, and it's fantastic.
Crowds, definitely, and knowing that I would have fans around the corner waiting for me. So, I had to lift my shoulders a little bit, look like I wasn't dying, and pull it together so that, yeah.
No matter what place you end up coming in, one thing is for sure, your family is sure to be proud of you.
It's such an accomplishment. I'm so proud of her. She worked so hard at everything. She put so much into her training, and I'm just so proud of everything she does.
Over 30,000 runners ran the marathon this year. 99 countries in all 50 states were also represented. Reporting from the Boston Marathon, Angelina Salcido, WEBN News.
The first feature in our Runner Spotlight series is Ann Tucci. Tucci ran the Boston Marathon in 2013 but was stopped short of the finish line due to the bombing. It was her road to the race in 2017 that was anything but easy. Sam Benson-Smith explains the story of devastation to triumph.
I was stopped just short of the finish line.
4 years ago, Ann Tucci and thousands of other runners never made it to the finish line. The Boston Marathon bombing shook the city itself and turned a day of celebration and achievement into a day of tragedy. Runners who did not get to finish the marathon were offered another opportunity, but Ann's second chance faced another obstacle.
And 3 weeks later, I happened to be run over by a car. And so, sitting on my couch a few weeks later in a back brace and with my leg fresh out of surgery, they put a titanium rod in to stabilize the bone that had been broken.
Ann would work through a year of rehab and finish the marathon the next year, but she still wanted to give back.
And then after 2014, I knew that I still wanted to give back somehow, and that's when I found the Stepping Strong team through Brigham and Women's. So I ran for them in 2015. It was a fantastic experience. I was so happy to be just contributing to something so much greater and that was related to everything that I had gone through.
The Stepping Strong Fund was founded by the family of Jillian Rainey, one of the survivors of the marathon blast. The fund helps finance the Stepping Strong Center at Brigham Women's Hospital, which focuses its work on trauma recovery and research. For runners, training for the marathon is only part of the process.
I almost think of it as two jobs during the year. It's marathon training and then it's all the fundraising. I have a really kind network of family and friends and coworkers and former coworkers as well who know about the trauma injury that I had. And so they very much are supportive of me raising money for Stepping Strong.
This year, Stepping Strong has a marathon team of 120 runners. Their marathon fundraising goal, over $1 million. For WEBN News, I'm Sam Benson-Smith.
The next runner-up is Samantha Pochia. The 2017 Boston Marathon was Pochia's first official 26.2-mile journey. Gina Brazow paints the picture of the relentless work Pochia went through to get to the starting line in Hopkinton.
I'm 100% gonna cry. I could cry right now thinking about it, just out of excitement.
Samantha Pochia is running the 121st Boston Marathon. She says she fell in love with the running community when she ran her first half marathon 2 years ago. And this year she worked to raise $9,000 for her charity.
So my first half marathon, the weather was gorgeous. We lucked out and I just didn't have a time in mind. I was just running to run, and that is the most fun I've had in a race to date. My first half was the best. I finished that race, crossed the finish line, and told my friends that I could have easily run another 3 miles. And immediately as I crossed that finish line, I was like, oh, if I run 3 more miles, that's 16, and then 10 more is a marathon. So as soon as I crossed that line, I started thinking about running a full marathon.
Pochia knows that the marathon isn't all about the running. Her mentality plays a big role in her success. She hopes that the crowds will help her push through the 26.2 miles that lie ahead.
I'm honored to be a part of it, and again, to be running with a bunch of my friends as well. It's just kind of like such a cool experience. So I've heard the crowds are insane. I'm hoping that they'll kind of help carry me across that finish line.
Samantha Pochia expects her emotions will be running high on Marathon Monday. After months of training and conquering Heartbreak Hill, Pochia is excited to prove her strength on her run.
That's a big challenge to me. It's bringing that community together, and especially this city. After everything that happened in 2013, I just think it's like a really awesome way for everyone to kind of be Boston Strong.
Samantha Pochia is running for victims of trauma. This will be her first marathon, and she is looking forward to crossing the finish line on Monday. In Boston, I'm Gina Brazow.
Meb Keflezighi paid tribute to the marathon bombing victims once again. The winner of the 2014 Boston Marathon took time to kiss the hands of Denise and Bill Richard. The Richards had lost their 8-year-old son Martin, who was killed in the 2013 terrorist attack. In an interview with WBZ, Keflezighi said Martin Richard, quote, was a beautiful little kid with a beautiful smile. The tragedy hits home with Keflezighi, who has a young daughter himself. The first woman to run the Boston Marathon officially made 2017 the year of her return. Catherine Switzer ran back in 1967 in a time when women were not allowed to enter. 50 years ago, officials tried to stop Switzer 2 miles into the race. This time around, Switzer had little trouble completing the course. Crowds along the way made signs that read 261 strong, in tribute of the registered number she wore in 1967. After the marathon was complete, Switzer said, quote, "I just ran the fastest marathon I've run in 46 years. She is 70 years old. Coming up, the legacy of Heartbreak Hill is alive and well. Runners discuss the myth and how they're tackling Mile 20. Just months ago, Ellie Brelis could not complete a 2-mile run. Now she's worked her way into shape to run the 2017 marathon. Brelis' journey and many more when we return. Welcome back. Ellie Brelis used to doubt she could complete a 5-kilometer race. Now she's taken on the rigorous training in Boston to come out on top. Logan Reaver has the full details on what it took for Brelis to get into marathon shape.
Oh my gosh, like I'm about to go run now. Okay, like hope I can do it.
Not everyone is a natural-born runner. For Ellie Brelis, she had to work her way into marathon shape.
I do hill runs Wednesdays, I do long runs Saturdays, and then I try to do cross training about 3 times a week, but that can be challenging with school and having 2 jobs and being in a show. So, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a great time to just, when I'm running, I can just have a break from everything else, and it's a lot of fun.
Along with the rigorous physical training that Ellie is going through, she's also selling shirts for her fundraising. 1 in 4, representing the 1 in 4 women that are affected by domestic violence.
I also had a friend, Jacqueline Gunning, design really beautiful t-shirts with 4 women on them, because 1 in 4 women will experience severe physical violence from an intimate partner in their lifetime. And we've raised over $1,300 with those t-shirts.
Ellie is representing a charity named Casa Mirna on Marathon Monday, a pledge she made back in November with a goal of raising $10,000.
Reaching out to family, friends, community members, and I've been so shocked and moved at how many people have donated without even knowing me directly, and it's it's been really overwhelming just to see the amount of support that people have.
Ellie went above and beyond, smashing the projected goal and raising over $14,000. She has given the entire community affected by domestic violence new hope. Where does this inspiration come from? She doesn't have to look far.
I think about the women who have inspired me throughout my entire life. I think about my mom, and I think a lot about my older sister, and I think about all of my friends and sisters in Kappa, and when I think about their strength, I feel like I can run a little bit farther, and I just remind myself that I'm a really lucky person, that I'm physically capable of running a marathon and have a support group behind me who's supporting me while I do this. And I think about Casa Mirna and that it's really important what I'm doing, and I'm really honored and privileged to be doing it, and they're the reason I'm running the marathon.
As for the day of the big run, nothing can beat what runners look forward to the most.
I'm really looking forward to crossing the finish line and just seeing my friends and realizing that I did it, and I did it.
Ellie finished the race in 5 hours and 51 minutes. For WEBN, I'm Logan Reaver.
The Boston Marathon has a lot of notable spots along its course, none more famous than Heartbreak Hill. We go live to Ciara Speller, who has the story behind the legacy of the hardest stretch in the race. Ciara?
Heartbreak Hill is the final hill runners will take on during the marathon, and it's also been known to be the most challenging part of the course by many.
What makes it so tough is that you're going downhill for the first several miles of the marathon, and you're also going usually faster than you should be. You tell yourself to slow down, but the combination of those two things, when you start doing the uphill climb, just your legs feel like jello.
The legendary hill takes place at mile 20 and is a true test of runners' strength and endurance. Not all runners make it past this point, despite working hard to do so.
I'm not necessarily scared. I mean, just viewing it as a challenge to overcome. I know everyone says don't look at the top, just look down and keep going, so I guess that's the strategy.
I had been told that Heartbreak Hill was the longest but not the steepest, and I was surprised to find out that it is still very steep. So I'm really happy that I went out there and kind of prepared myself in that way to actually see what I'm going to be up against.
Although they had concerns, all three women conquered Heartbreak Hill, making it to the finish line in just under 5 hours. Reporting live in Boston, Ciara Speller, WEBN News.
Thank you, Ciara. There are many incredible stories that stem from Patriots Day. The newest show of resiliency came from disabled Army veteran Earl Granville. Granville carried a woman across the finish line after she could not continue running. Video of Granville's act surfaced on Facebook and created an outpour of gratitude by the public. Granville lost part of his leg when a roadside bomb struck his vehicle in eastern Afghanistan back in 2008. Granville has run multiple marathons himself since the explosion. The 2013 Boston Marathon bombings have had temporary memorials throughout the city since the attack. It is now getting a permanent place to pay respect. According to city officials, 2 monuments at the location of the bombings will be created and unveiled next year. The site of the finish line will feature 2 17-foot pillars when the project is finished. 2018 will mark the 5th anniversary of the attacks that took the lives of 3 and injured more than 260 others. Christina Ashbaugh is no stranger to long-distance running. Ashbaugh has not only run multiple Boston marathons, but other races outside of the city of Boston. It is her relationship with the city that holds significance in her eyes. Paula Tristan Arruda informs us on Ashbaugh's love for Boston and its big day in April.
It's addictive. Like you probably know, it's just like the feeling during is terrible, but as soon as you cross the finish line, like it's incredible, and you like are already signing up for your next one.
Christina Ashbaugh is talking about the feeling she gets after running a marathon. She started running since she was in middle school, but when she came to college, her cross-country coach convinced her to run the Boston Marathon in 2015. A year later, she received a bid from the governor to run the race in 2016.
So I worked for the governor as an intern last spring, so I literally got a bid for, just like being a good intern, which was incredible because people they don't give those out. Like the governor's office gets 10 and the mayor's office gets 10, and that's pretty much the only bibs they give out. So I definitely felt pretty lucky.
Preparing for the marathon is not an easy task. Ashbaugh explained how important a routine is for getting ready for that 26-mile run.
Really early morning, like Saturday runs, working up to like 21 miles is like I think what you have to do in order to like fully prep yourself to run a marathon, because there's no way you can get through 26 like confidently. In order to feel good, I think it's like, you know, slowly building your body up from like 10 miles all the way to like 20, max at 21, and just letting your body like carry yourself through the last 5 miles of the race.
Not only do you have to be prepared physically, but there's a mental preparation that is needed for something as important as the Boston Marathon.
I think it's really hard to prepare yourself for the mental like side of the marathon, because you, especially if it's your first one, you like don't know what's gonna happen. I doubted myself a lot because I was like, I've never done this. This is really long. Like, this is an incredibly important race. So I think it's like, what I've realized lately is just telling yourself like, or trusting yourself that you've prepared, and just going out there and like just smiling and like having fun with it.
Ashbaugh is training with hopes of qualifying for the 2018 marathon. Reporting for WEBN News at the Boston Marathon finish line, I'm Paula Chisnaruda.
Coming up, a heroic act from strangers to a runner in need just before the finish line. Jessica Roach runs for a number of reasons, but it's one cause in particular that motivates her the most: her story of overcoming trauma, when we return. Welcome back. Trauma has cast a huge cloud in the life of Jessica Roach. The terrorist attacks affected her family. This trauma motivated her to train for her first marathon. Lloyd Mallison shows us how Roach is fighting tragedy with a renewed sense of strength.
I've always wanted to participate in a marathon.
Jessica Roach knows that running the Boston Marathon involves relying on your own 2 feet. But completing it is anything but an individual effort.
I've heard it's one of the greatest marathons in the world because there's never really a spot along the course that is empty. So there's always fans cheering you along the way, and you kind of never feel like you're doing it by yourself, even if you choose to run sort of individually. Meeting such great people along the way is something that's going to make it all worth it.
Running for the Brigham and Women's Stepping Strong team, Roach has already met plenty of great people along her journey.
My number was $8,000 that I had to raise, which I actually have surpassed, and I'm close to $9,000 right now. It was easy for me to raise money though because I revolved it sort of around how my own family was affected by trauma. My uncle was a victim of the 9/11 terrorist attack, and also my other uncle suffered a traumatic brain injury. He's actually a survivor and he's doing really well, and so I've decided to dedicate my run to both of them.
But despite all the support, she'll still have to get herself across the line on Marathon Monday.
I think I'll be running my own. I think it's kind of every woman for themselves. I guess I just need to get together a good playlist and I'm ready to go.
Lloyd Mallison, WEBN News.
Sometimes your job is not done after crossing the finish line on Boylston Street. Jake Mogan of San Francisco could not continue the marathon. 4 men then carried him. Each man took a hold of one of his limbs and carried him across the finish line. 2 of the 4 people were servicemen, and this act of kindness is not foreign to the Boston Marathon. This happened before, back in 2016. Jim Jiskroll and Mitch Keys carried runner Ari of Sevitt 100 yards to the finish line. Governor Charlie Baker witnessed the event and captured it on film. He then posted the video to his Twitter account with the caption, quote, "Unbelievable." The 2017 Boston Marathon served as another triumphant year for impaired runners. Runners with disabilities such as blindness and missing limbs completed all 26.2 miles. The marathon contains over 30,000 runners overall, with hundreds falling into the category of impaired. An example of this strength is Kyle Ribideau. 2017 marked his 4th appearance in the marathon. Ribideau finished from the road from Hopkinton to downtown Boston in 5 hours and 5 minutes. One of the most infamous stories of the Boston Marathon appeared once again this year. The father and son duo of Dick and Rick Hoyt is well known in the running community. Dick and his son have competed in over 1,000 races, including the Boston Marathon. This year, Brian Leons replaced Dick as the man to push his paralyzed son, Rick. The Hoyts last ran the Boston Marathon in 2014. Rick has been involved in long-distance races since 1977. Thank you so much for joining us for WEBN's special Road to Hopkinton. Registration and openings to run in the 2018 Boston Marathon starts in September. For more information on WEBN, go online to our website, www.webn.tv. I'm Shayna Ferreira. Thank you for watching.